Okay, maybe we can get started. My name is Joe Sergi, and this is Module 8 of my self-help kit on the balanced life. This is the audio-visual component of Module 8. So for more detail, please read the script version of this module from Michael's website. Michael's, again, stands for the Management Institute for Quality of Life Studies. Michael's URL address is miqols.org. And the title of Module 8 is Reducing Role Conflict. Again, reducing role conflict. Consider the following scenario. Carol experiences a moderate level of satisfaction in both work life and family life. However, she experiences a conflict between work and family roles. For example, family demands and interferes with work demands and vice versa. In contrast, Anne experiences the same level of domain satisfaction in both work life and family life. However, Anne does not experience role conflict. The compensatory model of life satisfaction would predict that both individuals are likely to experience the same level of life satisfaction because both domains, work and family, are equally satisfied. However, the balance dictates that role conflict be accounted for in the way domain satisfaction contributes to life satisfaction. Considering role conflict, we conclude that Anne should experience higher life satisfaction than Carol. What is role conflict? Social scientists traditionally define this concept as the situation in which role pressures associated with membership in one organization conflict with those stemming from membership in other groups. That is, the demands of one role make it more difficult to perform another role. In the context of work and family related roles, this means that role demands in work and family life become incompatible to the extent that participation in one is made more difficult by participation in the other, and vice versa. What do we mean by role demand? Role demand involves the responsibilities, requirements, expectations, duties, and other commitments associated with a designated role, such as family, work, friendship, church, neighbors, related roles. One of the most significant aspects of role conflict is the difficulty in balancing behaviors across multiple roles due to the shackles imposed by traditional gender role expectations. Especially in traditional cultures, women often feel or are responsible for everyone and everything in the family. Consider the following quote by a woman who participated in a study on role conflict. She says, "Women don't realize they are so busy taking care of everybody else's business, and they are forgetting their own business and peace of mind." That is so typical. Research has shown that role conflict across life domains, those considered important to an individual, such as work, family, and social life, adversely affects satisfaction within those domains and overall life satisfaction. A high level of psychological involvement in one role is usually associated with greater time and effort devoted to that role, thereby making it difficult to manage role demands in other life domains. Individuals experiencing role conflict across life domains are likely to experience stress, which in turn reduces overall life satisfaction. Why would they experience stress? Well, to perform successfully in these conflicting roles, they must invest much more time and energy in them to maintain an acceptable level of life satisfaction. This allocation of more resources to maintain successful performance in conflicting social roles is most often accompanied by psychological stress, commonly manifested in terms of general psychological strain, somatic physical symptoms, depression, substance abuse, burnout, work-related stress, and family-related stress. Positive affectivity is negatively correlated with stress. Considering the following study, a 3-wave longitudinal survey spanning 1 year involving adult men and women, the study examined different forms of conflict between leisure and the life domains of work and family, and their relation to subjective well-being. The study's findings suggest that conflict across any of these 3 life domains is negatively associated with concurrent subjective well-being. That is, the study demonstrates that, as with work family conflict with leisure domain can significantly reduce subjective well-being. So let's see if we can translate this discussion into a psychological principle. We call it role conflict reduction. Research has shown that a balanced life can be achieved when social roles across work and non-work domains are compatible and conflict-free. That is, stress management is typically recommended to address role conflict-related stress. Role conflict can take multiple forms, including time, strain, and behavior-based conflict. Time-based conflict refers to time pressures when, from one role that prevent individuals from meeting expectation in another role, or to a preoccupation with one role while physically attempting to fulfill another. For example, an individual may experience time-based conflict when the time devoted to work interferes with fulfilling family-related responsibilities. In other words, excessive time devoted to work-related tasks may make it difficult to carry out family responsibilities. Strain-based conflict occurs when tension, anxiety, and/or fatigue from one role affects performance in another role. For example, an individual may experience strain-based conflict when work responsibilities interfere with leisure and vice versa. Strain may be manifested in the form of irritability and anxiety. Behavior-based conflict occurs when in-role behavior from one role is incompatible with behaviors expected in another role. For example, an employee schedules a meeting with a client at a time that conflicts with a family vacation trip. The scheduling of both events is behavior-based, and both actions conflict with each other. In sum, individuals who successfully manage stress stemming from role conflict are likely to experience higher life satisfaction than those who do not. Specifically, role conflict causes significant stress, which takes a toll on life satisfaction. Stress stemming from time-based, strain-based, and behavior-based role conflict. Stress management to reduce time-based, strain-based, and behavior-based conflict reduces domain dissatisfaction. In doing so, life satisfaction is maintained at an acceptable level of adaptation. So again, these stress management strategies are threefold, and they're designed to reduce role conflict. Again, let me repeat. strategies to reduce time-based conflict. And the definition for that is planning and scheduling tasks and events without conflicts. Strategies to reduce strain-based conflict. That is, again, the definition would be engaging in regular exercise, participating in wellness programs, meditating, praying, seeking social support, challenging the belief system causing conflict, and cyber loafing. And when it comes to the third one, which is strategies to reduce behavior-based conflict, these are identifying behaviors that may cause role conflict and taking action to refrain from engaging in those roles. Okay, so if you want to know a little bit more about these strategies in some detail, I describe those strategies again in the script version of this module, and the script version of this module is located on Michael's website, right? I told you about Michael's website. It's the Management Institute for Quality of Life Studies, and the URL address is miqols.org. Okay, I will see you in the context of the next module, and I will say bye for now.